Hello, spiritual seekers. It's me again, Linda Crea, with Embrace Your Spiritual Side and www.lindacrea.com. You can get in touch with me there. Anyway, today I'm here for you to follow up on the post I did a week ago or so, and it said, do you think life is fair? And so I stated on there that I was on a different Facebook group, and the question was posed, and I was the only one to say yes. And it was an immediate response out of me, and it was my truth. That's really how I felt. I feel like life is fair. And so in my week and a half of discernment, why am I the oddball, okay, in that group? And it wasn't a spiritual group or anything like that. It was just like, it was an uplifted quote group. So, and this question came in, and they were all like, no way. Life is not fair, because a lot of us feel like we have the raw end of the stick, okay? And I'm going to share with you why I think it is fair, and then what I've come to conclude, because my conclusion is really, really interesting. So I love the quote I found in my research and my Google research, and feels good to leave it in that place. So anyway, so is life fair? And I say yes. Because, okay, fair means equal representation for all its members, okay? So when you look at the word fair and you go, oh, yeah, no, we're not all equal. We're on this planet, and a lot, people were born into the third world countries, and some people were born into wealth and poverty and illness, okay? And so during this week and a half of my discernment, and again, when I discern on things, I don't let it stress me out. I'm empathetic, but I don't take it in. I use my compassion and am really trying to get to that place of understanding so that I can help others feel good when they're having struggles, okay? So I don't dwell on it and really stress out in my seeking. So, all right, so in my week and a half, a lot of references to fairness and our lives came up, and of course my vortex is looking for it. So it triggers me when I hear it. I'm like, whoa, there's something. So John Holland was on an episode, a rewind of Hay House, and he said, somebody called in and they're like, well, how come I was born into this family, I don't belong in this family, yada, 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 what we do, we cry and whine and all that. So it's a good time. So he says to her, you made it to this earth. You made it to this earth. He goes, there are so many souls, it takes hundreds, because we are reincarnating, constantly, but that's what happens. So we are all here several times visiting this lovely planet. So anyway, he says, there are souls waiting hundreds and thousands of years before they can get a body in order to be born, to come here. So he's like, you wait a long time. So a lot of times when you're up there with your guides and everyone else you want to come back with and have another experience and try and do better on Earth School for your life purpose, okay, you will take anybody. So you will come here to create a life of crime or whatever. So you're in that time, what body and what your life is going to look like in general. And the time frame of your life, how short or how long it's going to be, and you accept it because you want that vital earth experience. And spirit, they can only have happiness and joy all the time, where they want to come here and they want to feel emotions. We feel good and bad emotions, and the way we know our happy emotions is because we know we don't we know how the difference of how we feel in our bad emotions. So you now have made the conscious choice, although we don't remember it when we're born. So darn, too bad for that. So that's, part of why I think it's fair. So now we're all incarnated, and then you choose your own boat. You can either make your choice and stay in your little dinghy, and live in that. That's your boat, row your boat, right? We learned that song, when we were very young. Row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Row your boat. You choose the size of your boat, people. So anyway, some people like the dinghy. They want to be the homeless people under the bridge, and I'll get into that in a minute too. So, in my opinion, if you choose in your mind you want the dinghy, the little, the rowboat, and then all of a sudden you say, no, I don't want this anymore, I want the yacht. So in your mind, you perceive yourself, and this is a law of attraction, which I've learned within the last 10 years to do it on purpose. You attract that yacht into your awareness, into your third eye, your imagination, and you now put yourself on a sailboat. Picture your rowboat being a sailboat. Shift your sails, okay? And the wind may not take that sail immediately, but as long as you got that new outlook on where your life is going, your direction in your head, it's up to you. And then when that wind does come, you're going to go somewhere in a new direction and towards that yacht or whatever you're after. So again, is it fair? We do have some control. Most of us do anyway. I'm not judging. So again, I'm having compassion, but I'm just playing here. So now we are, we made it to the planet in one way or another. I know a kid. Well, he's not a kid anymore. He's a young man, and he's kind of my third son. Anyway, he was born in India, and to a mom who'd passed during giving his birth, and his dad was a drug addict and may have been a murderer. We're not verdicts out because he doesn't know his dad. And the dad put him in a dumpster at his age of 2. So this young man, who's in America now, he had to go through his life knowing his dad put him there and kept his sisters and put him in a dumpster. So that's what he thinks. So maybe one day we'll do the Ancestry.com and get to the bottom of that interesting, occurrence. So, the kid's a survivor. He's freaking awesome. So, he did what he had to do, and he's blessed with a lot of people who love the crap out of him. So, and I'm glad he's a part of my life too. So does he feel like his life is unfair? No. Maybe he does deep down inside. It hurts. Okay, so we all have that. I even have that. Gosh, my parents, I had surgery 2 years ago, and I haven't spoken to my family in like 9 years, seriously. And so I went to offer them forgiveness in November, and I told them I had surgery, colon surgery. They had no idea. And I don't think they were lying. I don't think they knew, which is crazy. And no one told them. And they just don't care. See? So, and I have a son too that I'm far removed from. And something happened to him a couple years ago, and thank God someone told me about it, so at least I could pray. And I do think it's disgusting that somebody, a human being on this earth who is emotionally equipped, they're emotionally equipped, would hold something from someone else's mother. And it makes me sad deep down inside. But again, is it fair? Is it not fair? I'm not holding judgment or anger on anyone because it's just going to drag me down. I've been there. So I've learned how to bypass that fairness garbage. I'm not in competition with anyone else. No one owes me anything. I don't owe them anything. I do this outreach because it feeds me. It feeds me to share. And everyone's not going to be on the same page as me. But I think that this learning has led me to a better feeling place, so I'm hoping I can then put it out there. So now, is it fair that my people are like, your parents, really? Really? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I feel bad for you. And I'm like, well, go ahead, but I don't feel bad for me. I'm perfectly happy, and I have so many awesome people in my life. And you all know the power of God that comes through and that I can share. So now, is life fair? And I'm still saying yes. I was a real estate broker. I sold 250 homes at least. And I was through more inspections than that. And people didn't close on the houses. And it was for turbulent reasons, And it was like really soul struggles. And I saw family dynamics of all kinds, wealthy people and the people with less. So we have our haves and our have-nots. I've worked with them all. And I was a waitress for 20 years before, or not 20, how old am I? So, for 10 years before that, from the age of 15. And I know animals too. Gosh, I went to college for training people to ride horses. So I've been through a ton of counseling, marital counseling, 10 years of that. So, I've been discerning situations for a long time. And I still think life is fair because, but it may change as we develop this conversation. this self-conversation, this sharing. So now, the real estate business, yeah. So does it balance? Does it equal? The people who have not, you know, don't have the stresses of burdens of needing to maintain high incomes in order to live their life how they choose. The wealthy people have, you know, their struggles, because if one of them or if someone loses a job, you know, they're going right down, you know, right down, and they don't like to be down there. They want to be up here. Okay, so, you know, living within your means something, but that not to the, you know, to the people who really want the big stuff that kind of can't afford it, but they do it anyway. So just because they're having doesn't mean they don't have stress and fighting in their lives and, you know, all these other family dynamics. I've seen people sleep on the couch for years, you know, that are like important people. You would never know. So I'm still seeing it equal because, you know, those who have less of dollar things have love in their heart, and sometimes they have despair and anguish and, you know, all kinds of abusive situations too. So I'm still like teetering here. I'm still on the it's level, and then I have this beauty, Lessons in Becoming Myself, Ellen Bernstein, who led me to the reality of sometimes what you see is not really what you think. Okay, so she's an actress, and she's had many different names throughout her career, so you probably can't even keep up with her. But in my driving of 10 hours every week for 6-7 years, I picked this little beauty up at Job Lot for $3.99, you know, to fill 6 or 7 hours of my car ride with an interesting story told to me, and in her words. And it's Lessons in Becoming Myself. So I had no clue that this would have a profound impact. Well, anything we read really does, if we really are paying attention. So she is an actress, and she was older by this time, and she said that she was in her 60s or 70s, and she was with this acting group. They were doing a play somewhere, and they all got an opportunity to go with a homeless person and see how they lived for 2 weeks. Okay, so we'll just say she's 67. So anyway, so she's pretty famous, okay, in that area in New York, and she gets into the, you know, the drab, the whatever, the garb of the homeless street people, we'll call them, and so she dresses like them, you know, and she tries to be inconspicuous, and they have no money, okay, 2 weeks on the street, no money. So now they have to panhandle and find food and find shelter and all of that. So she's with a group of, say, 10 people. So all of a sudden a street vendor says, "Hey, you know, Ellen, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh, you know, this is what I'm doing. You know, I'm giving up my life for 2 weeks, and I'm seeing how they live, you know," and it's kind of compassionate to see how they do it, how they survive. So that was the act. That was why they did this, just to see, you know, to really get it, because if you've not been there, you really don't know. So anyway, she really found it. So she ended up taking food from this street vendor after his day was done, and she then felt guilty because she didn't have to go out and find food for herself. So still she was living like, you know, the rich and famous because she knew people. So that's, you know, gifted. Is that fair? No, not when you're trying to be, you know, living with the street people. You don't have any gifts, right? So now she doesn't do that anymore. So the rest of the week, the whole group is not getting any, you know, gifts from others. So all of a sudden, they realize their course of their day, and they have to travel from from a community center to a church for breakfast, for meals, okay, and to where they're going to sleep. They have to go blocks and blocks and blocks, and her hips are bad, so she has to actually ask for money, which she hates to do, and so she can get a taxi to bring her, because her body's not doing well out there, okay? So she's really, you know, feeling it, and the other people can walk for 10 blocks, 15 blocks, and she just physically really can't keep up with them. So she was having her struggles there. And so anyway, so she finished it, and she came away with a lot, and it's, you know, and it's in her story. And then a couple years later, I was in a cab in Las Vegas on vacation, and the cab guy was pointing out, the street people and saying, I wonder, why they don't, live off this, get off the street and all that. And I'm like, sometimes they're not who you think they are. It could be Jesus. Jesus could be that street person there teaching you a lesson in compassion. So be kind or not. Well, it's up to you, because I don't judge. So, and then all of a sudden, boom, Ellen's story resonated with me. And I go, I had this audiobook, and she shared this story where she was a rich and famous person and went on the street for 2 weeks to get a sense of this. So I said, who's to say that person's not also? Huh? Who's to say? So and then this guy goes on, the cab driver, to say, I had an experience like that. He goes, I had this guy, and he was down the street, whatever, and he said he had a cup out, and the sign, the God bless you sign that they all have, the street people, God bless you, and they mean it. I bet they mean it anyway. What do I know? So he gives the guy, a couple dollars. The guy's like, no, I only take coins. I only take coins. I don't take dollars. So that was different. So, the guy, the cab driver gave him coins, kept his dollars, and he thought that was very interesting. So a couple weeks later, the cab driver was at an event, and the host of the event was that man who was on the street that wouldn't take his dollars. Okay? So he thought that was weird. But not until I told him my story did he realize that he did that on purpose. That really was that guy. The guy did it to see what it's like, and he wouldn't take the people's money because he really didn't need their money, so he felt guilty all over him. Guilt if he took the people's money because he wasn't that way. So isn't life interesting? So again, who's to say what's fair and what's not fair? So anyway, so we draw our own conclusions as we judge others. And that's another reason why I say, is it fair or not fair? I keep myself on my own page and I don't judge others. I just love others. Okay? So the homeless people could take a bath and a shower and they're just as clean as me. Done. Our skin washes, guys. Our souls can be cleared too. And, if we don't judge someone, and we would hope that they like their lives and love their lives and are equals. And to me, equal is fair. But can we measure the balance? If we're equal, it's balanced. And can we really ever figure that out 100% if it's balanced or not? To say if it's fair. Look at me, I'm really like wrecking my mind with this. So I luckily, to end this saga, or whatever it is, or entertaining topic, I've come to a conclusion. My conclusion is, and I wrote it, my conclusion, as seen on a Quora, so it's an online little thing they have, is life really fair? And this was the conclusion they came to, and this is now my conclusion. Thus, the idea of life being fair or unfair is and will be relative, and thus undefinitive. So it's undefinitive, really, because equal is really a balance, like a equal. Balance could be kind of equal is equal on like sides, and we can't ever measure. So we can't say it's indefinitive. It's indefinitive, guys, so I can't say it's fair or not. I don't have a clue. And I'm cool with that now, because I figured it out. So anyway, I hope you got something out of that. And, just go about your lives and don't be hung up on that, because I think when we're hung up on that, we're in self-pity. And you're allowed to be in self-pity if you want, but I choose a better feeling place. I will change my course, my boat, my sails, and just say, who cares? Why am I going to even worry about it? So, but love everybody, and I want the best for everybody. Everybody, okay? Lift your spirits. God loves you. Namaste.